Well, right now, President Obama is in Jordan after wrapping up a three-day visit to Israel. One issue at the top of the agenda, Iran's nuclear program. Israeli President Shimon Peres telling Fox News in an exclusive interview that he believes President Obama will order an attack on Iran if necessary. Remarks based on his private conversations with Mr. Obama and comments the president made at a news conference earlier this week. This as Iran's supreme leader makes new threats to annihilate the Israeli cities of Tel Aviv and Haifa. Mark Dubowitz is the executive director of the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. He is here to offer his thoughts. Welcome. Great to see you.
Thanks, Emma. Good to be here.
What did you make of the comments from President Peres, excuse me?
Well, President Peres, I think, is reflecting a view among some Israelis that President Obama is committed to stopping Iran from developing a nuclear weapon. President Obama's trip over there was to try to reassure all Israelis, especially the Israeli Prime Minister, that he's deadly serious about stopping this deadly weapon.
But Netanyahu is offering a sort of good cop, bad cop scenario in terms of dealing with the Iranian threat.
Well, it has been a good cop, bad cop scenario with President Obama, but I think that he's asking the president to also be a bad cop, to send a very direct message to the supreme leader that unless he compromises on his nuclear program, the United States is fully committed to using military force to destroy Iran's nuclear facilities.
Were you surprised by the comments coming from Iran saying exactly that if the United States moves forward with this, that they are going to strike Israel at a moment's notice?
Well, I wasn't surprised. I mean, this has been decades of comments from this supreme leader.
But the timing of it?
Well, the timing of it is probably not surprising given the trip, but I think the supreme leader of Iran for decades has been committed to destroying Israel, and the rhetoric from him and his compatriots has always been consistent. They are committed to destroying the state of Israel.
The president went to Israel with a 10% approval rating among Israelis. He was bound and determined to win the hearts and minds of Israelis in that country. Do you think he did a good job and has succeeded in doing that?
Look, it was a very impressive charm offensive. I think he had all the right Clinton-esque comments and symbolism. But I think the important issue is when the mood music is turned off and everybody files out of the political theater, Israel and the United States are left with a day-after hangover. And that hangover is really the Iranian regime and its pursuit of nuclear weapons. That is the critical issue, and I think everybody's going to take a real sober look at that when President Obama returns home.
But right now we're not seeing any major moves in the direction to assure the world, United States, people here who are saying we need to be stronger in our support of Israel, especially when it comes to Iran. Words aren't enough, simply. I mean, this is just rhetoric. We've heard it before.
Right, Uma. I mean, I think that's exactly right, and I think that's the concern of Israeli leaders and the Israeli public, despite this charm offensive. You know, the reality is that in terms of Iranian nuclear physics, the physics is beating Western economic pressure and diplomacy. The Iranians are 15 months away from an undetectable nuclear bomb. That means in 15 months' time, based on our estimates, the Iranians will be able to produce enough fissile material to dash to a bomb so quickly that it will not be able to be detected by UN weapons inspectors or the Western intelligence services. That is the real concern, and I think that is the critical issue on which Prime Minister Netanyahu and President Obama have to agree.
Really quickly on the issue of Syria, chemical weapons, what are your thoughts at this moment? Do you think there's viable evidence to say that those weapons have actually been used? Well,
certainly those are the claims, and I think there's going to be a UN investigation into this. But that clearly has been a red line that President Obama has drawn and needs to draw, and it will be very critical that if there are chemical weapons being used by the Assad regime, President Obama responds accordingly, because that's another red line that he's drawing, and it's a red line the Israelis will be watching and the Iranians. Is this president serious about committing to red lines and honoring those red lines?
And really quickly, with Obama speaking to young people in Israel, that was a very interesting strategy on his part, because he knows he often does well in those kinds of settings, that type of theater backdrop.
Well, I think that's right. I mean, President Obama has shown, certainly in the U.S. context, that he is brilliant at grassroots activism and in getting the support of the grassroots. He tried to go over the head of Prime Minister Netanyahu. He tried to appeal to the grassroots, to build political support, to get beyond a 10% approval rating. He's going to need that. He's going to need the support of the Israeli people if he's going to ask for the Israelis to take significant risks for peace with respect to the Palestinians.
He used that word quite often, risks, over and over again.
Well, there are risks. There are risks on every one of Israel's borders. There's missiles from the north, missiles from the south, chemical weapons potentially used on one border, the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable risks for this Israeli Prime Minister and his people.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you so much for joining us with your insights. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much.